Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm going to let people keep jumping in. We're so excited to see you all bright and early on this Monday morning. All right. Well, I'm going to get rolling here. We'll get some things out of the way, so if people are joining late, that's okay. Welcome, everyone. My name is Amber Burns, and I am the Director of Community Impact and Partnerships here at Boreal Waters Community Foundation. Today, we are talking about the Transformation Grant. I'm going to ask everyone if you can be on mute. That way we can hear each other, and then we will have time for questions at the end. So that would be great. I'm also going to introduce Ursula. Actually, Ursula, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining today. Please, anytime if you have a question pop in your mind, please ask it. Thanks so much.
Okay, so let me share my screen. Oh, can you? There you go, Ursula. I wish we could go around and say hello to everybody and see who's here, but that would take the whole time. All right. Here we go. All right. Hopefully you can see that, everyone. If you can give me a thumbs up, if you can see the transformation. Okay, amazing. Love it. So yes, we are talking about the transformation grant. It is the letter of intent is opening today. During this grant info session, we're going to talk about just a couple updates that we have here at the Community Foundation. We have a new website. It's almost been a year that we've had this website, but I like to remind people transformation, the breakdown of what we're looking for, who should apply, what do we fund, how do we fund, a timeline, a little overview of our grant portal, and then time for questions. So the first thing that I'd like to mention, this is just an update from Boreal Waters. There has been this really awesome group of nonprofits. We've been getting together for pretty much a year now, and we are calling ourselves Nonprofits Unite. And out of this nonprofits group, we've identified a couple areas that nonprofits are sort of struggling with or really interested in learning more about. And those three areas are shared services. So that could be nonprofits sharing HR, finances, or in like a graphic designer or something like that. Nonprofit transitions, and this could be sunsetting, merging, strategic planning, succession planning, any of those big transitions that nonprofits go through. And then the third category is staff well-being. How do we survive in this time? You know, it's been a long year, and it could be, a lot longer. So how do we not burn ourselves out? We're really excited. We have 3 webinars coming up about those three categories, and then we're going to do a Nonprofits Unite Summit, an in-person gathering for nonprofits to talk about these 3 areas. It's going to be May 11th at UWS. There is a place on our website that gives way more information. Here are the dates, though, if you want to put them on your calendar. There's a survey also on our website that kind of asks questions like, are you interested in shared services, or do you offer shared services? Things like that. So just really quickly wanted to mention that because it's kind of a really exciting thing that we've been putting together. All right. Okay, navigating our new website. I'm actually gonna go to our website. Oh, here's the Nonprofits Unite page. So if you go to Community Leadership on our website, there's a Nonprofits Unite tab, and that will take you, and here's the survey, I'll register for the webinars, and you can There's lots of other things on this webpage. To find the transformation grant, I recommend going to grants and scholarships up at the top, our grant directory, and then select grant cycle. We have Community Opportunity Fund Transformation. And then here are the guidelines. If you click on them here, and it'll take you to this amazing page with all of the information that we're going to talk about today. This video and the PowerPoint will also be available after this. You can if you can't attend today or you can't attend the whole time, this will be available on our website as well. So that is a great place to find all of that information. And yeah, let's jump back into the presentation. Okay, I want to talk about what we are looking for the transformation grant. So there are several categories that we're kind of looking at the type of work. So transformational projects create long-lasting change by shifting the conditions that impact people and communities. While every initiative will look different, transformational work often includes. So one of the areas we're looking for is upstream focus. It's addressing root causes of any inequities, prioritizes prevention and long-term solutions. So an example of that might be a nonprofit builds community food sovereignty through urban farming, policy advocacy, and cooperative economic models. This is upstream impact because the work is works to transform who controls food systems and land access. It's not just distributing food. So I like to think of it as like it's not just a band-aid that's going it's going upstream to look at what is the problem, how can we change that problem? We're not just putting a band-aid over it. Another thing that we're looking at is collaboration and community voice. So this builds authentic cross-sector partnerships, centers the expertise of people with lived experience in design and decision making. So an example of this might be a nonprofit working to end homelessness through data-driven community-wide system change. They're bringing together maybe the local government, service providers, healthcare systems, housing agencies, and philanthropy. They intentionally include people who have experienced homelessness in this planning, strategy, and evaluation, ensuring solutions are grounded in real barriers people face navigating systems. So this is upstream because they're focusing on changing how entire communities coordinate housing systems, not just running the shelters. So they're looking at that upstream focus. They're really, I think the collaborative partnerships are going to be really important in this work. We can't do this alone, everyone. Okay, another thing that we will be looking for is equity-centered impact. So your work is prioritizing historically marginalized populations, moves resources or power closer to impacted communities. An example of this would be a nonprofit who is, oh, if everyone could mute, that would be really great. Thank you. So an example of equity-centered impact, a nonprofit who is focused on Native nations, communities of color, and rural communities experiencing systemic inequities. Why is this upstream? They are not just providing services, they are shifting ownership, control, and long-term power back to communities historically excluded from decision making. All right. Another place that we will be looking at is like systems and policy influence. So maybe you're improving institutional practices, policies, resource flows, or community level systems. This has potential to be replicated or scaled. So an example might be a nonprofit who helps schools adopt farm to school policies, support local farmers in assessing institutional markets, Develop regional branding and distribution systems so local food becomes part of the normal supply chain. This is upstream because we're reshaping the economic and institutional systems that influence food access. All right, sustainability and capacity building. I want to spend a little bit of time on this because what does that mean? Plans for impact that continues beyond the grant period. So the project is sustainable, strengthens organizational or community capacity. I want to talk about this because it's like, oh, does strategic planning count? And I would say yes, and we're really looking for that community sustainability. So how does your strategic planning and the capacity building of your organization impact how you work with the community or how this will be sustainable for the community? So the lens should really be shifted to what it can do for the community. So I don't want to say no, we don't support strategic planning because it could very well, your strategic plan could, have a huge impact on the community. But I should let you know that it should be very community centered. We support projects that strengthen not only an organization's ability to do its work, but also the long-term capacity of the communities they serve. So sustainability means that the impact of a project continues beyond the grant period. This may include developing lasting partnerships, systems, skills, or community leadership that allow the work to endure and grow over time. So some things it could do is like equip community members with skills, tools, and leadership opportunities. It could build local networks or coalitions that can continue collaborating beyond this project. It could strengthen community-led structures such as advisory groups, peer networks, or resident leadership teams. Develop systems, models, or practices that can be sustained or replicated in the future. And then again, strong proposals will demonstrate how both the organization and the community will be better positioned to create lasting change as a result of the project. So again, how will this impact the community? How will this be sustainable for the community? And then evidence of change. You're using data, learning, or storytelling to demonstrate the impact or learn from the community, contributes to broader understanding of what works for equity, belonging, and resilience. So an example would be like a nonprofit who focuses on youth development, relationships, and belonging. They're possibly doing youth surveys, measuring students' sense of belonging, support, safety, and connection. They're looking at data on relationships with adults, peers, and community members, trends over time that show how developmental supports influence well-being and resilience. So, we're again looking at like, how are you assessing that the community needs this? And yeah, what are the data or the indicators that are showing that, your work is impacting the community or your work will because you've taken all this data and you understand what needs to happen. Okay, those are some big topics, some big overviews. These are the LOI questions, and I want to preface this with like, this is not necessarily the order that they will be in our system, and it might look a little bit different in our system, but this is what the information is that we want to know. So just for your letter of intent question, it's like a mini application. I would call it a mini application, but our grant portal system really likes to call it an LOI, so that's what I'm going to call it. So we want to know your organization and mission. Obviously, please briefly describe your organization mission. Who do you primarily serve through this work? What community needs does your work address? So like, yes, we are looking at education for youth or, things like that. Grant request overview. Describe the project or initiative for which you are seeking funding. And this is just like briefly describe these things. It doesn't have to be this essay paper that you fill out. Of course, you only have so many character limits. We did up the character limits. We heard you. We made them a little bit longer. But again, we don't want an essay, so we did keep it still limited so you can just briefly describe it. Community impact in a few sentences. Describe the difference this funding would make for your community or the impact it will have. We want to know who it's going to benefit, how, the geography, where are you in our service area? Are you up on the range? Are you over in the Apostle Islands? We have a very big geography that we serve. And then we are looking for projects that go beyond immediate needs to create lasting systemic change. So please share how your work may demonstrate one or more of the following. So these are the categories that I just went over: upstream focus, collaboration and partnerships, equity center, systems and policy impact, sustainability and long-term impact, and evidence of change. So just like, how does your work fit in with those categories? And again, we do have those on the website, kind of like in we have the definitions of those and what that looks like on our website. So if you're like, oh, I don't remember. And again, this presentation will be available. But yeah, we just want to know, how is your work upstream, or how are you collaborating with other people in your area? Or maybe you really know the ecosystem of your work. So like maybe you're doing work that another nonprofit is doing, but you understand how your lane and their lane maybe work together, but you're not necessarily partnering, but you understand the work and why both of you are important in this work, if that makes sense. And then funding requests. We just want to know, like, how much are you requesting? So you can request up to 100,000 up to 3 years. So that could be a total of 300,000. Now, here's what I hear all the time. I hear this. I say, a nonprofit will say to me, Amber, if I ask for less money, will that be better? And I'm going to say, no, we want you to ask for all of the money that you need. So if you need $300,000, you ask for $300,000, okay? If you're like, I'm just going to ask for $50,000, no, we want you to ask for the full amount. It will not, we don't even really look at that when we're comparing applications, okay? We want you to ask for your full amount. And then we'll just like briefly describe the scope of that work. So that's really all we need for the LOI. It's really just a really brief description of what you want to do. Let's look at, I'm going to get back to our grant portal in a second. Again, remember, if you have questions, write them down. I just want to quickly say, some of you might be asking, what about the Biodiversity Fund? It is opening today, and we're really excited to announce that the Biodiversity Fund is also a multi-year grant. We have shifted it. The committee did some great work, and it will also be up to 3 years. So check that out. We have more information on our website. If you have questions, please reach out. And then the Unity Fund, if you are curious about that, that will open at the end of February. That is our African Heritage funding. So again, let's jump back in. Who should apply for this? Well, we welcome proposals from nonprofits with strong infrastructure, grassroots or emerging groups, collaborations, or fiscally sponsored efforts. So we do accept fiscal sponsors. We are especially interested in organizations that are led by or serve historically marginalized communities, demonstrate local trust and community ownership, and show potential for lasting, scalable impact. Again, this is our service area. This is our region. So if you are not in this region, let's say you are a nonprofit from the Twin Cities, you are not disqualified, but the work that you're doing has to be in our service area. So, and I always encourage you to really speak to, like, if you are an organization who serves all of Minnesota, that's great, but our committee of grant reviewers really wants to know, how are you impacting our region? So, although your budget might be like all of Minnesota, what part of this grant or all of this grant should be going to our region? So the more you can communicate that in your application, the more successful it is with our committee. Again, you must be a nonprofit. So any of these, the 501c3 status or any of these other statuses do qualify for our grants. What do we fund? Again, initiatives or projects that funding to launch, expand, or sustain specific initiatives that advance opportunity, resilience, belonging. Those are our buckets that we kind of look under. We're still kind of looking at those buckets for transformation. Community-led solutions and collaboration. Again, we are really looking at those partnerships. Funding for community-driven work that centers lived experience, builds trust, and cultivates cross-sector collaboration. Systems change and upstream impact. Projects that address root causes, not just symptoms. Okay, here's another thing I would love to mention. Because we are looking for collaborations and partnerships, part of the application, like if you get to the next round, you've made the LOI, we want you to do the next round in the application, we will probably ask all of your partners to the table. And perhaps we might even invite you into a meeting to discuss that project. So make sure that this partnership is like so solid that if you brought them to the table with you, they could also speak to what is happening in this project. For example, we just gave a transformation to grant to Braveview, which is a partnership with the Y, One Roof Housing, and Essentia Health. Okay. They are building a building that is supporting senior housing and childcare. And we brought all three of those organizations to the table to talk about this project. So that is an example of how a partnership came to us. What we do not fund, we don't fund individuals, capital campaigns, one-time equipment purchases, fundraising events or sponsorships, political or lobbying efforts, religious activities, medical research, debt retirement, re-granting to other groups, endowments, and projects obviously not aligned with opportunity, resilience, and belonging. If you have questions about like, I don't know, just reach out. Kursula or I can let you know. And then how do we fund? I just want to bring this up that our grant making process is rooted in equity, transparency, and community voice. So we believe those closest to the issue should help shape the solutions. That's why we engage community members with lived experience as part of our grant review committees. These reviewers bring valuable insight and local knowledge that helps ensure funding decisions are thoughtful, inclusive, and relevant. And we just did this Carly, our communications manager, did this awesome story about our committees. We have grants and scholarship committees. Note, if you want to be a part of a grant or scholarship committee, we are taking volunteers. So go to our website, fill out the survey, and here's a really great story about some of our committee members. But I want to bring this up because, like, I don't make the decisions. Kursula doesn't make the decisions. So listen, if you butter me up, it doesn't work out. Sorry. But we have a committee of people who know our community, who are helping us decide what our community needs. So we really try to keep it a very equity centered. Here is our timeline. So today the LOI is open. Woo! We're so excited. March 9th at 5 p.m. the LOI will close. And I know some of you will be like, it's 4 o'clock. I have to get this in. No, get it done. Get it done now. And then March 30th, we will let um those applicants know if they're moving on to the next round or if not. And then April 27th, the application closes. June 17th, we have approval by our board. June 18th, notifications to applicants. And then by the end of June, you will have your payment, your first payment issued. And then we'll work with the grant period from there. So by the end of June, these payments will be going out. It's very exciting. Okay, our grant portal. I'm going to jump to it really quick. And I'm going to log on. It's always scary to log on in front of people because you're like, oh, make sure you spell everything right. Okay. Let me switch to applicant view. All right, so you're gonna sign in and like this dashboard will come up and hopefully if you've applied for something before, your history will pop up. I've never applied for anything, so my portal is blank. There are two places you can go to see opportunities or apply to find the LOI. You'll see right here there's an eligibility quiz for Community Opportunity Fund transformation. The eligibility quiz just kind of checks your 501c3 or your nonprofit or your fiscal sponsor status. Where are you doing the work? So the region, making sure you're in our region and things like that. You'll notice there might be some other applications up. There are other grant applications open. Right now, the Duluth Public Schools Fund is open. If you are not in the Duluth Public Schools, do not apply for that. You don't qualify. Again, here's our eligibility quiz. You'll fill it out. If for some reason it says like you're not eligible, but you feel like you are, just reach out to Ursula. She'll let you know what happened. Usually it's like, oh, you just clicked this one thing and it didn't work. But yes, I'm a 501c3. Yes, I am doing work in those areas. Is your project timeline? Yes. And then I have reviewed the guidelines. Yes. Submit eligibility. Continue. And then, oh, look, there it is. It popped up. So it's going to pop up in this extra little box and it'll say apply. Now, if you click apply, it'll save all of your work. So don't worry. You can start the application, start filling it out, and then come back to it later. It will save your work. Don't worry about doing it all at once. Here's all the information. And then, oh, I'm going to save my LOI. If you're ready, though, you're like, it's ready to go, you will click submit. You don't, there are many nonprofits who are like, oh, I'm done, and they forget to click submit. So don't forget, you have to click submit. All right, that is our portal.
Just wanted to mention, Amber, that,
Yes.
there will be an email confirmation sent out when you do submit it. So if you click submit and you don't get that email, doesn't mean it didn't go to you. Sometimes they go into spam, but let me know if you don't get that email or go back in and check. Because like Amber said, maybe there's a field that you didn't have filled out.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that, Ursula. Ursula's so on top of it, everyone. I don't know what I would do without her. Okay, transformations is a couple of things I want to mention. Again, it's up to 100,000 per year for up to 3 years. So you potentially could ask for $300,000 total. This is going to be a highly competitive grant, y'all. We usually only can award one, maybe two projects, depending on. So it's super competitive. And my advice too is just submit your LOI. If you're like, I don't know, do I align with transformation? Do I align with the work? Are they gonna say yes? Listen, because it's super highly competitive, we probably won't get an opportunity to talk to every single person. So my advice to you is just submit an LOI. just submit an LOI. It's just a few questions. What harm can it do? We will be reaching out if we have questions. So, like if you submit an LOI and we want to know more, we will reach out. So, that is my advice to you is just do it, right? Okay. Oh my gosh, we made it. This is our team. So, here's me and Ursula. We also have Peter is our regional community impact specialist. He is also on our team. We are all great people, who can answer questions. Again, I emphasize that this is going to be a highly competitive round and we might not get to answer all of your questions on the LOI round. So just do it. Just submit it, get it in. We want to see your proposals and maybe you don't make it to the next round, but then you're in our system and we know about you. And although you're not may not make it to the next round in this round of transformation, I might be thinking about you when I'm like thinking about our fall grants and I might say, "Hey, Susie, I saw you are doing work in education and we have this grant coming up about education." Or we sometimes even have conversations with donors who are leaving legacy gifts to our foundation and they're like, we're really interested in education. And I can be like, hey, I know that these 5 nonprofits that you might be interested in helping support. I'm not saying that happens all the time. I'm not promising anything, but just by submitting an LOI, you are also in our system. So I just want to emphasize that as well. Okay, I'm gonna go off of shared screen. Maybe if I can figure out. Okay, here we go. And then open it up for questions. And you can put your questions in the chat. You can raise your hand if you want to.
Amber, we had a question from Rhonda Martinson, a great
Okay.
question. Will you all receive the PowerPoint? And the answer is yes. I'll email a link to the recording of this session as well as Amber's PowerPoint, and we'll also have it posted on the website.
Here is a good note as well. Monica says, the responses you enter in the LOI are automatically populated in your application. You will get a chance to add on in your application, but we want the reviewers in each session to be able to see your responses because we're not going to re-ask a question we already asked. So if you tell us about your mission in the LOI, we're going to automatically populate that into the application. So we don't want to put more work on you by doubling up on the questions. That's a great note, Monica. Right. Don't be shy. There's no dumb questions, I promise. Let's see here. How frequently is this grant opportunity available? Yes, every year it should be available. Although it's been sort of a new opportunity, so the timeline has changed, but hopefully we're finding a rhythm this year, 2026. I'm really hopeful about many things, and so hopefully this timeline will be more consistent. But yes, every year. Yes, if you have received like a resilience grant or another community opportunity fund grant in 2025 or any grant from us, if you have received, you are eligible for the transformation grant. If you're like, my grant is still happening, that's okay. You are eligible for the transformation grant. So, good question. Is there a recommended number of partners? Not necessarily a max or a minimum. I think what we're really looking for in the partnerships is that it's really an authentic relationship or an authentic partnership that truly is doing the work together, right? Like I think we know when it's like, oh, we want to ask for $100,000. Let's just like reach out to this nonprofit to see if they want to partner, kind of. And then, it's not really that partnership of coming together with this project. It's like, we just want to try to get $100,000. So we're going to say that we're partnering with this grant. We can kind of tell when that happens. So it's not necessarily that we're looking for a lot of partners. We just want to see that you are working with them. Let's see here. Can partners include for profits? Yes, I think any collaboration, like if you're working towards making a system better, you're going to have to work with more than just nonprofits, probably. So I would say any kind of partnership is definitely a great way to build upstream work. Will notifications of acceptance to move to the next level after LOI be also sent by email? Yes, it will be sent by email. And Kursula is really great. If we're not hearing from you, like we will continue to reach out so you will know. Andrew, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you, Amber.
Yeah.
I am curious about you mentioned that it does not support regranting, so in other words, passing through funds through to another organization. I'm envisioning a project where we really have one or two other really strong community partners that would need support for the work that they do on this grant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so how would you recommend sort of navigating that? Because if we got X amount of dollars, I'd love to share about half that dollars with the other organization for their own capacity to do this work.
Sure. I would say, I mean, that's sort of like we are getting this money to support both of our nonprofits who are doing this work. I wouldn't necessarily count that as regranting. Sometimes we have had like other foundations ask for a grant and then they're like giving out scholarships or they're
Hmm.
like re-granting it. Like somebody had to write a grant application to them and then they're giving it out. So that is
Okay.
sort of like the type of re-granting that we're talking about.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great
Okay.
question though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great
So
question.
the idea of I'm sorry, the idea is sort of fully funding a partner to do
Yeah.
work on
If
this
you're
particular
splitting the
project.
money, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's really helpful. Thank you.
I
Yeah.
wanted to, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Andrew, because I also wanted to mention, you may be wondering, there's one applicant. So
Oh,
whatever
great.
organization is taking the lead on the work, ultimately, if awarded, that would be the organization that the check would be cut to. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're applying. And we've got that collaborator button, so you can invite people from other organizations that you work with to collaborate on your LOI and application. Amber, we have a question about, does the grant prioritize new programs or do they consider supporting or sustaining ongoing programs?
Great question. And I would say both. You know, we are just interested in community impact. And if it's work that is already in progress, great. If it's brand new, also great. So we invite both types to apply. These are great questions. Oh, I see a hand raised. Is it Tina?
Thank you, Amber. Yes, yes. And my question is that part of our program will include capacity building by training the trainers, community trainers, I'm assuming things like providing stipends to like childcare workers would be something included, and also could stipends for the attendees, some of the persons who are saying, yes, we want to be trained, a stipend that is an amount that is appropriate. Like, would that be something that would be accepted as a expense in the grant?
Yes,
Okay, and
definitely.
also I'm assuming like supplies like meals, some meal, as long as we're not send it out for anything wildly fancy, that like, basic refreshments and things for during the day training. And finally, if there is equipment, for example, a projector equipment that's tapped into a laptop, not the laptop, but a projector equipment, so that uh, um, training module episodes and such can be shown to the group. Would that piece of equipment that would be used on a regular basis, would that be eligible?
That's a great question. I would say, um, yes. If if you have equipment that is part of the bigger plan, yeah, that's a confusing thing when we say we don't support one-time equipment purchases. And I think what we mean by that is like this grant is for this one equipment purchase. If the equipment purchase is part of the bigger grant, that's okay. For example, one of our transformation grants went to Bad River for their food sovereignty, and they're building gardens and they're doing this, and they had to buy this like ATV thing to help them build and put these gardens together. So that equipment purchase was part of the project. And that is totally acceptable. So I'm so glad you brought that up. Good question.
Thank you. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you.
I had a question. What projects were awarded last year? So last year we had the Braveview project, the senior living and the child care with One Roof, Essentia Health, and the Y. And then before that, we had two projects. Family Freedom Center got a project, and then Bad River also got a project. And those, I believe, are on our website, so you can take a look at them. This that's it. That's all we've funded because it's a very new grant program through us. So we are navigating these waters. Haha, Boreal waters. Just kidding. Anyway, yeah, good question. Awesome. I should just say, like, you are all amazing. Oh, good. David, you have a question.
Yeah, I'm just wondering real quick. I'm looking for funding for a pilot scale project in partnership with some national labs, which doesn't readily fit in anything else. And there's a couple stages involved, but the latter stages depend on how successful the first couple stages are and if it shows viability as a model. I'm wondering, in your opinion, is it better to request a full amount for multiple years, assuming that things will go well, or to be more conservative in the ask?
That's a great question. And I would say, I think go for the full amount, assuming it'll go well. This is um also an ongoing partnership with us. We will be checking in every year to be like, hey, how's it going? How maybe it's not going well and we need to shift the focus, or maybe there are other supports that you need from us. So we want this to be a partnership with us as well, and we will keep the conversation going. We will keep communicating about your needs. And yeah, none of us really know if things will be successful. So we don't want that to deter how much you're asking for. Dream big, y'all. Erin?
Hi, Amber. Similarly, just thinking about projects for us, thinking about our school in mind. I know when you said the things that it doesn't fund capital campaigns and some other limitations there. I can't quite recall if building or doing work that it might include construction is included in those limitations. And I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts about one project that we're thinking about is the physical expansion of our school facility inside of our building to grow our program. That's doing great. I'm wondering if that fits or if that falls under those limitations.
Yeah, I would say that I think that would fit, and speaking to, like, again, how expanding your space, what that will do for your community. Like how many more students will you be able to serve because of that expanded space and things like that. Yeah, it's so hard to be like yes or no to many of these things. And again, if you like Aaron or anybody has a question about like, does it fit? I would always just come back to like, how is it going to impact the community? So you're like gonna expand your building, you're gonna buy this ATV. Like, how does that fit within the bigger scope of what you want to do for your community?
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, and I do want to say, like, Crystal and I are rooting for all of you. Like, you are all doing amazing work, and we really want to give all of you all of the money. So we're not rooting against you. We're here to help your application be successful. So like, please, I know it's gonna be a lot of people, so I don't know if we'll be able to answer all your questions, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try really hard, and we really want you to be successful. So, you know, just don't be intimidated. Just go for it. Dream big. And again, maybe this won't be around, but then you'll be in our system and we'll know about your work. So, yeah.
I'm not sure if you mentioned this, Amber, either, but we will have the Community Opportunity Fund, Opportunity Resilience and Belonging grants then a little bit later this spring, summer. So something else to look forward to, and you will have received your notification on the transformation grant, whether you're going forward. So you would know, at that point, in March 30th, that would give you an idea then if you would want to apply for one of those grants.
Yeah, good mention, Chris. Yeah, so the Community Opportunity Fund, we're hoping for a May opening for those LOIs. Oh, thanks, Kate. You found the application process to be really supportive and collaborative. Good. We want that. We want you to feel that way. Will the grant cover consultant fees? Again, yes, like if it's part of that big scope, like you're paying staff, you're paying consultants, you're paying trainers, all of those things I would say like fit under your budget for sure. All right, team. Well, Crystal and I are gonna hang on till all of you are out. So if there are any last minute questions or anything, we're here for you. Otherwise, if I don't have any other questions, I will say thank you for joining us today. Yes, just apply is the message. Just go for it. And thank you again and have a really great rest of your day.
Hello, Amber.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, I just thought of another question. Our primary group that we'll be working with is a nonprofit, and it's a community nonprofit, not a religious organization at all. There is the possibility that another organization may be one that we would choose to have as our primary fiscal agent, who is a church. How do we how can we best uh, identify or make clear that there is no religious activity, that there is an alignment of, for example, an organization, that a church that is very involved in care of creation, environmental concerns, or social justice concerns, and that's not linked to any kind of belief system or membership in any church or any proselytizing. How do we best show that separation if our primary fiscal agent will indeed be a church as opposed to the nonprofit we'd like to work with?
That's just fine, Tina. Our churches do qualify as a nonprofit, and yes, we just do not support religious activity. We do have actually a lot of churches who receive grants from us because they are doing work that is not tied to religious activity. So I think if you're just clear in your proposal, like what the work actually is, the fiscal sponsor being a church does not matter.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
great question.
Well,
Yeah.
I appreciated this and thank you for meeting. Bye bye.
Yes, thank you.